and women,
Okay. Uh-huh.
men and women, and it's because of coconut head, and
Mm-hmm.
but I'm hoping not, because that's why I'm having this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I can shed some light on this aspect of life where, hey, listen, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you are married, single, or divorced. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
status you are, it's a blessing.
Right.
That's precisely where you need to be so you
Okay.
can see what you need to see. But everybody is focused on what's right and what's wrong, and
Wrong.
who did what's right and who's did
Mm.
what wrong. Who should we point fingers out
Mm-hmm.
outside of self,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's where, unfortunately, where everybody is at. A lot of people are. And for as long as you continue to be in that space, that's not your best leverage point. You're basically giving your power away. You
Yes,
know?
sir.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
now my first question for you is, how does patriarchy influence dating dynamics and relationships?
Oof. Um, first of all, maybe we should kind of explain what patriarchy means. Patriarchy
Thank
is
you.
basically um, a structure that consists of male, dominated power, is a male dominated power structure
Right.
where somehow women are relegated. And if we can say this and be honest with each other, I think that's what a lot of women got to know, right? And what we are. And this is what got us here today. That's what a lot of women are kind of pushing back against, especially with some,
Rebellious.
yes, especially with some specific cultures, right? I know you probably have a vast culture here, or people who are listening, but I'm African, and I know some of people who are African, and even here in the Western world, most of the time, what we've known from history is it's been a male-dominated structure. Because even looking back at it, I think even here in the United States, it wasn't really long that women were allowed to vote, right? So we cannot be ignorant of that fact. It was male dominated, women were relegated. And that's why we now had a group of women who started having a voice and saying, no, no, we're going to push back against this. Women need a voice too. Women need equality. We need to be able to vote. We need to be able to be doctors and certain things, right? And be role players, power players, right, in this game. And that's what brought about the rise of feminism, right? But that has somehow shifted, right? And now we're having this ideologies. It's just they're just kind of transitioning those ideologies. Yes, before it was more about social structure and all of
Mhm.
that. Now we don't even know how to find the balance. Now we're hearing people say, what do you mean a man is the head of the household? To hell with that, we're partners.
Partners,
Yeah.
partnership.
Yeah, there's nothing like he's not my partner. Yeah, we know that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
now what we now see that's really funny, guys, and please just follow me.
Mhm.
Now we now have feminism and all this, that has transitioned to kind of some toxicity that has been infused. Now we now have a new generation of men who are saying, who do you think you are? Like, what are you saying? Like, no, no. Men are women, men are still the prize. You women are this and that. And now they're coming up with their own standards of saying, listen, if she doesn't bring this and this to the table, she's not worth it. La 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 la. And now what are we doing? We now have this world where it's like, Jesus Christ, what's
Yeah.
happening, guys? You know,
Messy, messy. They're confused everywhere. I have favorite languages for
yeah.
these people, but today I'm going to try my best to refrain from those favorite languages. But when I started this platform, this was one of my favorite video to play. I'm going to play it real quickly. And
Okay.
Hey! Hey! Yo!
all right, I'll leave it there. Did you see that, or you want me to play it again?
Which one? I didn't
Hey!
hear. I didn't see it.
Hey!
Oh, let
Hey!
me wait. Let me. Okay,
Just
just tap.
okay, yeah. You probably need to. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
What it says is that when feminine men attract masculine women, right? So
Hmm.
one of the major many men so many phrases and talking points you're going to hear a lot is masculine woman. Women are
Mm-hmm.
becoming masculine, right?
Yeah.
So can we blame this before I go to that? Are you a feminist?
I am feminist.
Okay.
I am feminist. I still believe in equality
Hmm.
when it comes to certain things for women. Again, I'm a mom to four daughters. What do you think?
Right, right. Now, did you have a moment that you went through that you started to question, like, wait, this feminism title, right? Do you have that? Did you have that moment over the past few years? And why did you come to that space? And why did you finally conclude that, you know what, I'm a feminist?
All along, I found myself, I was one of those that, grew up, my mom, now that I really do look at it, I think my mom was a definition of a feminist, right? She
Hmm.
worked, she was a career woman, she did her thing, raised her family, and that's what I saw growing up. But at the same time, I also saw that she gave a certain reverence to her husband, my dad, right? And again, just before I move on from that, I also saw that my dad also respected my mom. So I grew up with that, but then as I grew older, again from my experiences, and as I found myself, I'm like, listen, what is this? Especially from the culture we're from, that's so patriarchal. And I'm just like, hell no, like, no, this is not right. Women need a voice. So that's when I started to become a little bit more, open, and my voice was a little louder, and I spoke out, about women having a voice. But like I said, over the past 2 years, as I got into certain platforms and I'm listening to the younger generation and the ideologies, I'm just like, it made me question, at a point when you asked me, are you feminist? Are you a feminist? I kind of cringed, and I hesitated responding, because I didn't want to represent those ideologies that we had that was represented in the fight. Okay.
Mm,
But as I've blossomed again, I found myself, I keep working on myself. I can still confidently say I'm feminist, but
mm,
I don't have toxic ideologies, right? I don't. And
right.
with everything in this life, we have to have a balance. So, yeah. So I think I've come full circle again. But I still believe in feminism, in the feminism movement. I still
Mm.
do.
Now, can you give me one examples of some of those toxic rhetorics that
Yeah.
was born off of, the new wave? I guess we can call it the new wave. Is it the fourth wave or third wave? Which one? Or some
Um,
wave, the newest wave of feminism. Can you give us one of those examples?
Along the line, because again, we started to have like a rise in, relegation of women up to a point that kind of increased abuse in relationships. We
Hmm.
now started to kind of push for women to, we had to, when it comes to abusive relationships, and I know that's a little bit specific, but
Right.
there's a way that it kind of ties into this, right? You have to pull those women out of such relationships, and you have to tell them, you know what, you can stand on your own. You're better, without, being at
You're
peace
better
and being in
without
a
a man.
relationship without a man. Like, I'd rather you be alone than being in an abusive relationship. And somehow that has kind of brought us to a point where we now have women who are saying, I could do bad by myself. I don't need a
Hmm.
man. We don't need man. I don't need man, da 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 da, right? We don't need men, but you keep getting into relationships, right? And you keep getting out of it because you don't need
Right.
a man,
Yeah. You're having
right?
sex, but you don't need a man.
You don't need a man, right? And then again, we're not here pushing anything or whatever. We're just having a conversation.
Hmm.
But what really shocked me is these conversations are starting to become a reality in the minds of some women, where I'm hearing women saying, don't worry, to hell with men. When you get older, who needs a man? Go get yourself a dog or a cat. And I'm just like, I'm in that field where I take care of the elderly, and I know what it means. They're
You like that? Like not
lonely.
yet, right? Like so early.
Yeah, do you know that? Have you been to a nursing home? They are having SEX in the nursing
They're having sex. These people are
home.
gonna keep having
We're
sex.
talking about the elderly.
Hmm.
They need that companionship. They're
Yep.
dating each other in the nursing homes, and they're
Yep.
elderly. Okay, so when we're talking now and telling my daughters to say they don't need men and you can get a dog, but I know that's not a fact. That's not a statement of fact.
Right.
So
Right.
this is where I had to say, you know what, guys, this has to be discussed. We
Right.
need to find a balance.
Yep. We
Ola,
need
we
to keep
need to,
talking. Yeah.
yeah.
Let me before I go to this comment on